Hi, guys. Welcome back to our podcast. I'm Elise.
And I'm Dom.
Today on the podcast, we're sitting down with the powerhouse duo behind Reshaped Beauty, Laura and Connie. What started as a side hustle in a kitchen has grown into one of the most talked about skincare brands. We're diving into how they bootstrap their brand, their Dragon's Den journey, and what it really takes to build a clean beauty brand. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having
Welcome. us. We're excited to be here.
No, thank you guys so much for coming today. We start off every podcast episode with a peek and pit. So take a moment, reflect into the last week, something that went really well, whether it was like a huge win, you went to dinner with a friend that you haven't seen in a long time, or something that sucked. And something that you're struggling with a little bit, because I think obviously there's highs and lows with everything in life. So whichever one wants to start first.
I can say my peak. We had a great board meeting last week. So I was within the past week. And I mean, you hear that board meetings can sometimes be really stressful and scary for a lot of founders, but we have an incredible board and we had an amazing Q1. So yeah, we're just like riding the high of that. So that's my peak. And then my pit, honestly, just like general overwhelm. I might be stealing yours, but I heard you say that too. I don't know. I think, yeah, there's just like a lot on the go right now. Maybe overwhelm's too strong of a word, but just, yeah, trying to figure out how to balance everything. Also, my husband's out of town this week, so that's also another thing. So I've watched my dog solo. Solo parenting, not easy. So that's my pit.
Peak is probably, I'm just really energized right now from an event that we're planning for a big launch we have later this summer, and seeing the team's mood boards and ideas they have for that event has me very energized. So that is definitely a peak. Hit last week, I had so many calls. I don't know what it was. I think it's because it was like a short week, so everything got really condensed.
Like Friday, people wrote it off, basically, and they were just like,
Yeah.
everything needs to get done.
And then so Monday to Wednesday last week, I literally had 6 hours total between those 3 days not being on meetings and calls. It was like, I can't get any actual work done, and I'm exhausted because of all this talking. So
I
that
feel like
was
I turned
definitely
into
my
like a
pit.
robot at that point. Like after like 3 or 4 calls in the day, like my eyes are twitching.
Yeah. It's where it was like 7 of the 8 hours were calls.
Yeah, my Mondays are like that, like consistently. I have 4 hours of calls, like just every single Monday, like a website meeting, a weekly team meeting, a marketing meeting, and then a one-on-one. So I've just known that like my Mondays, like I unfortunately don't get anything done, because then I have like then I take like a lunch break, and then I work from home, and then there's just like things that come up. My mom needs something, so I'm like Mondays I actually unfortunately like I don't get anything done, because it's just like our meetings will prolong, and then I'm like I have 4 transcripts to go to and meeting notes, and I'm just like, yeah. So that's my Monday.
We feel ya.
All the time.
I feel it.
Okay, we'll combine our peak and pit. I would say our peak is definitely, we came back from Miami last week and we had 2 really good, successful events. Like the community was great. The girls that showed up were amazing.
Don't get me wrong, they were so hard to plan. Like we had been planning these for months.
January.
And I felt like it was like one thing after the next that was going wrong. So I didn't really know that it was legitimately going to happen until like the day of the event. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we're
Like
here.
to see things like come to fruition. It didn't feel like until people were like signing in, but I would say that was definitely peak. And to know that we have a Miami audience, I think it can be a little like to know like we're Toronto based and we've always marketed ourselves as like a Toronto women's community, and then we sold tickets literally just by like TikTok and just like we like
awesome.
ran no
How the hell?
ads. We ran like there was no one in. We sponsored with like an instructor in Miami, but we did all of the ticket sales, which is like really heartwarming. And then I would say Pitt is
Honestly, I feel like last year, like growing the brand, like it was just fun and games and no problems. And we had like no issues with sponsors or venues or whatever it was. But I feel like we also didn't take it as seriously as we are now. So this year, we're actually trying to grow a brand. And like we want this to be our full-time job. And I feel like that puts a lot of pressure then onto the company, and having 6,000 or 7,000 girls like on the email newsletter that all
It's
wanna
amazing.
like
want
are
different
waiting
things.
for something. They're like, okay, well, what's next? And we're like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it's like we want to be more than like an event, because like if you've seen like everyone and their mom in Toronto hosts events, you've
So
got
many people.
that are doing like now the coffee party, which has taken off, and you have so many people that do Pilates events. And I think any brand, when they throw a community event, they do Pilates because it's just so easy and it's such a easy sell. And then you have instructors themselves who will be like, I can't teach in my own studio, now I want to teach outside. And I think we want to like differentiate from that.
And I think at the end of the day, like we sort of branded House of Movement as just an overall wellness brand because we always say that like health is wealth. So that can sort of tap into so many different markets. So I don't think we're ever like stuck with events. Events is just like what has helped us build our community so far. But we're sort of in the phase where we're like, okay, what is next?
Yeah.
But at the same time, how can we still cater to our Toronto audience, make sure our Miami audience is like being kept up with? So it's a lot to keep track of when you have like a full-time job as well.
Right. Yeah, we've been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Balancing short-term and long-term is really hard.
I also think that the bigger that you get, the bigger that the risk is and the more responsibility that you have. Whereas when you're only talking to like a couple hundred people, like
It's like nothing.
it's nothing. Like you can do whatever you want. You can make mistakes and there's not really anything riding on it. And the bigger that your community grows, bigger your customer base is, the more that you're like, oh my God, I cannot screw this up. And that's stressful. That
We
pressure.
had just put a forum on our stories to just like get feedback, because like the biggest thing that's important to us is obviously community. Like that's what our foundation is. But getting the feedback of like what people want, the events that they want, how they want the flow of the social to be, brands that we want to work with. And it was anonymous.
Like 20 to 30 questions
Yeah.
from everything under the sun. Like, what is your foot size? Like random
And
stuff.
people are
together.
brutally honest. And like I think all feedback is important, whether it's positive or negative, because it'll help guide you in the direction of like where you
Right.
want the brand to be. That was our first time getting feedback, and we were like, okay, like it's good, because like
Yeah,
now we
feedback
actually
is a
get to know
blessing.
how people are thinking. I'm assuming even too when you get feedback that you're not receiving, or a review that like you put so much time into and someone's like, I actually hate it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, but like what's the silver lining? Like what can I
do different?
what can I do different next time?
Yeah, we're big into feedback. I guess I'll come up as a theme in this conversation.
But I think it's so important, especially when like you're a small brand. Like you need to know what people are thinking and saying about you when doors are closed, because like that's how you'll stand out and they'll advocate for you.
Yeah.
Connie and I actually both still get every single review that's left on our website straight to our inbox.
I think that's so
We probably get
important.
like 100 a day. at this
Yeah, it's
point. Like,
crazy.
crazy. You'll notice trends over time. You'll be like, oh, this is what everybody's saying that they really, really love about this product. Or these are the areas that they really want us to improve on, or the thing that they're saying that we're missing. Some of our best launches and customer insights have come from those reviews.
How did you guys start Three Ships? Like with the name, with how you guys met, the whole story.
It's kind of been in two phases. So maybe I'll take our OG phase, or Connie, you can take current
You'll do the
present
rebrand.
day Three Ships. So Connie and I actually were not friends before we started the business. Common misconception, because we're obviously best friends now.
Yeah.
We met through mutual friends. So someone that I went to school with at the University of Toronto, I was there for chemical engineering, told him about this idea I had for a line of natural skincare products. And then he knew Connie from middle school as like the beauty obsessed grade 7 girl that would come home and put mashed bananas on her face. And so when I told him about this idea for this line of natural skincare products, he said, you should meet my friend Connie, do some market research with her. We met for just like a quick 45-minute sushi dinner, turned into what we call like our founder first date. I was asking her, what's your Myers-Briggs type? What are your values? Like, where do you want to be in 5 years? And could just really
Like a
tell.
not knowing.
Yeah, and not knowing. And then just really could feel that this was my person who was meant to be my co-founder, because I knew I wanted a partner in this business. And so Three Ships was really born out of this idea that we were frustrated with natural beauty. Connie and I had the same frustrations. Natural doesn't mean anything. There's no legal definition. Same with clean. And so brands are clean washing and greenwashing everything, making so many claims, can't back it up with their actual ingredients. That frustrated us. And then on the flip side, once we did find products that were actually natural, clean, like good for our long-term health, which was a priority, they didn't work. They felt greasy, heavy, like didn't deliver results, or they were insanely expensive. And so we really view the holy trifecta of skincare as being natural, effective, and affordable. And that's what we've created within this line. So we initially got the brand off the ground with just $4,000. We each put in $2,000 and started by hand making products out of Connie's condo kitchen. Literally like tablespoons that you bake bread with, like mixing bowls, like aluminum.
We would sanitize though.
After just like mad scientisting stuff in her condo, I would take it back to my place on the streetcar. We both lived downtown at that time in Toronto.
You're like, no one touched me. Like I have cargo.
Yeah,
Precious
I have
cargo on
precious
me.
cargo.
Like
We
get
spent
away. Like
5 hours of our evenings outside of our 9 to 5s, Like, no one bump into me. I better not drop this. These are glass bottles. And then that product that we'd make in that one evening would probably last us like 3 weeks. Like, it was
And what
very
was the
grassroots.
first product that you guys were most
It was like
interested in
a
creating?
cleansing makeup remover wipe with coconut oil. So that
Oh, a wipe.
a wipe, yeah, makeup remover wipe. So we were like hand squishing these wipes together and like mixing together different essential oils and coconut oils. And that original brand was called New Body. New was spelled Niu, which is coconut in Hawaiian. We ended up not being able to get that brand name. We were given a cease and desist letter from this big billion-dollar company that we had never heard of called New Skin. And so they
I think
obviously
I've heard of New Skin.
yeah, it's
Insane.
quite large. It's known for like their like different tools and things. And so they didn't like that we were using New Body. And so we're like, okay, this is 2 years in. Connie and I are still the only people working for this company. We'd just gone full time like 6 months before. We'll just rebrand. And that's when we started working on the actual rebrand to 3Ships. That was in 2019.
And at this point, were you guys selling product?
We were,
Okay.
yeah.
And it was just like, I'm assuming, like you just had an Instagram and like an online store.
Yeah,
Like,
we
was it like
would-
word of mouth, social media?
It's a lot of friends and family.
Yeah, I remember the beginning days because we weren't friends before this, so our friend groups are really different. So for that first week of sales, I remember Laura and I would text each other when we saw an order come through and be like, "Sheena, like, is that your friend?" And then Laura would be like, "Yeah, no, I know her from high school." And then Laura would text me and be like, "Barbara, is that your friend?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, she went to middle school with me." And then after 1 week, there was someone who we were both like, "Wait, we don't know this person," and we're like, "Yes, our first real customer."
It was a very memorable moment for us.
Yeah, and those beginning days were really hard. Like Laura and I have matching tattoos that say 33.90. And it's because in those beginning days, for probably like the first year and a half, our Shopify sales were either $33.90 or $0 when no one bought. And it's because we had free shipping if you bought 2 products or more. Each product was $15, and with tax it was $33.90. And so that number's like forever ingrained in our brains as how challenging it was.
Days and days of 3.
And just like
cents.
brings you right back. So yeah, I mean, everyone's gone through it. Everyone has their story, but that's how we started. And then we rebranded to 3Ships. Initially came up with the idea to rebrand 2019, like Laura mentioned. And then we're planning to launch in the beginning of 2020. Then COVID happened. And then also Laura had her brain surgery, which we can get into. So it was just a wild year. And then the rebrand officially launched in July of 2020. So the 3Ships are uncensorship, so transparency, leadership, and partnership. So those are really the 3 pillars of the brand. So walking through those, being transparent is so important to us because going back to that original problem that we had when we were 23, we just like didn't understand if something was actually natural or not because there's no legal definition for natural. And so, for example, in our ingredient glossary on our website, we list every single ingredient that we use, including where it's sourced from and linking back to any scientific studies that we have. We also are really transparent even about us as founders and our team. Like even today, like I think there's a post of Laura talking about why we don't have an SPF yet. Like this is a level of transparency that you'll get from us and more. Leadership, we really want to create a legal definition for natural. We're really leaders in the space. And then also we partner with our customers to create products that they really love. And we partner with our amazing retailers as well. So those are the 3 pillars. Everything's clinically tested, safe for sensitive skin, dermatologist tested, hypoallergenic, EWG verified, pregnancy safe. So like pretty much every check mark that you can think of, we have. And
So what is the importance of clean skincare and like genuinely clean skincare?
yeah, I think like first we should probably define what clean and natural means. So natural means being 100% plant or mineral derived, and that's our definition. And we really want to make that like the gold standard. Versus clean means that you're avoiding certain ingredients. So for example, if you come across brands and their packaging says like no parabens, no sulfates, like that's clean, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're natural because they can still use other chemicals. Versus natural is like, in our opinion, the highest pinnacle of like natural versus clean because you're really only using things that are derived from plants or minerals. But a lot of brands will intentionally confuse audiences and use natural sometimes and clean sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of the definition.
So with clean skincare, some of the, I guess, harsher ingredients, could that just be skin damaging? Could it go into your bloodstream? What is like the main concern with really focusing and wanting to purchase natural skincare?
For so many reasons. So a lot of people that shop natural, they're pregnant and breastfeeding. They can't use clinical actives oftentimes. So they're told by their doctors, you have to stop your retinols and your retin-A's. You need to come off of vitamin C sometimes. You can't use salicylic acids or anything that's like a really intense exfoliating acid. So that's a group of women that will be a reason that they decide to shop natural is because they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm now carrying my child. I want to think about what is going on my body. This is being absorbed into my bloodstream. They'll start cleaning up everything in their house, like cleaning products, food products, and beauty products. So that's one type of consumer, is like, they're like, I want this for the good of my health and the good of my child. Another type of consumer are people that have really sensitive, reactive skin. Oftentimes that's because of allergies. Different synthetics and preservatives are added into products you may not even know are in there, because they're like sub-ingredients. They can be hidden ingredients that don't show up on the ingredient list. And so it's very common for people to have allergies to common preservatives and synthetics and not even know, and their skin just reacts to everything. So that's another group of people that choose to switch over to natural. And then the largest group is probably just for people that want to take care of their long-term health. It's the same as like, why would you want to eat foods that have minimal like colorants and dyes and preservatives in them? You care about your long-term health versus something that's loaded up with artificial flavors. Like, I think the easiest thing to understand natural beauty is within the food space. That like natural beauty is like organic whole foods,
People say
essentially.
like drink your skincare. Like you just want to
Yeah.
things that are gonna like seep
Be good
through
for
and like
you.
show the
Yeah.
best version of yourself.
Exactly. And the science has evolved so much. Like 10 years ago, the number of different actives that there were that were natural, that were from plants, were very limited. Like you could only do so much. That's not the case anymore. There's so many incredible innovations within the ingredient set that we can use as formulators, that these products really do perform. Yeah.
Yeah, like even one of our bestsellers, we just went through some clinical testing. There's going to be some results that are shared publicly soon, but it's incredible. Like we saw amazing results with consumers after just 4 weeks. Even the ingredients that we use within our products have clinical testing results. So, like even the eye cream that we just gave you guys, our newest launch, that has amazing clinicals. It's a bioretinol, which is a natural plant-based alternative to traditional retinol. So for those who are pregnant or breastfeeding or have really sensitive skin who just can't use traditional retinol, bioretinol is an amazing mimicker. And it's also safe for pregnancy and breastfeeding. So like that's an example of a product that has
Irritation.
no irritation, and it's sourced from like a flower. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really incredible.
So I know you mentioned that when you started, you were having some health issues. How did that affect growing a major company?
Oh my gosh, it was a crazy time. So November 2019, this is right after we kicked off the rebrand, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. I was 26 at the time. Connie and I were the only two employees of the business. We still weren't paying ourselves anything, I think, at that point. Like, we hadn't made any money on this for over a year from the business. And so I was like, okay, I have no income. I've just been diagnosed with brain cancer. I'm 26. And I was having to think about what comes next. So Connie and I started to have these really uncomfortable conversations about death, honestly. Like, there was a chance that I would die on the operating table, or that if I were to wake up, maybe I would have a stroke and like wouldn't be able to communicate. And so we had to go through all of those different contingencies plans. And it really makes you think differently about your life, the impact that you want to have, the impact that you want to have on the business, and what your purpose is within the company. And it also puts so much else into perspective. Like, there's very few true emergency, like earth-shattering problems
It like
that we can
definitely
meet.
brings you down to earth
Brings you so down to
in terms
earth.
of like what are your pillars that are like most important.
Oh my gosh, it brings you so into the moment. Like, my surgery was start of March. Literally, I think I was discharged from the hospital like 3 days before all the COVID lockdowns happened. And so I was very lucky that I got out of there before everything just went crazy. And so I spent COVID for that first 3 weeks recovering at home from brain surgery. They were able to take out 70% of the tumor, luckily. So 30% still in there. I'm on a clinical trial, Princess Margaret. I've been getting other care with them. Haven't had to get chemo and radiation at this point, very luckily. And it's basically stage 2 brain cancer. And so after going through that, you really realize life is so much of a gift. Like, I'm so lucky to be here. It was a very spiritual experience for me in many ways, especially those immediate weeks after the surgery. It's like everything just tasted better, smelled better, like the colors were brighter. It really was true. That changes your outlook on life so much. And I think we've carried that through into the company of believing that this business, that's why we're so mission driven.
Yeah.
Like, we really want to have an impact and fix these
And like
problems that exist
stand on the
within beauty.
3 pillars that the name derives from.
Exactly. And a lot of our customers now are people that are cancer survivors or struggling with cancer currently and maybe going through chemotherapy. And during that period of your life, you tend to get very, very aware of everything that you're using day to day. We do know that different synthetics that we thought were okay like several decades ago now are cancer causers, they're carcinogenics, they're endocrine disruptors, which means that they disrupt your hormones. And unfortunately, this list, we don't really know what those list of ingredients are going to be in another 20 years. So things that maybe we think are okay now, like maybe they won't be in 2 decades because this is what keeps happening. And so for that audience, making sure that they have products they feel really confident in that won't cause any adverse problems down the road is really important for them.
Well, I just wanted to say, I think it's amazing to like deal with something like that and like persevere and know like you're not just have yourself to think about, like you also have like a co-founder and a brand and a business. How did you like what gave you the confidence to know like I need to take a step back, obviously for recovery, like to know that your co-founder was able to like just like hold it down and like help you through just recovery, to be there as a friend, like mentally on a business standpoint, like what how did you feel like knowing that you were gonna have to just like not be able to give 100%, but that you were able to just do that for her?
I think I never had like a moment of doubt that Connie would be there. Connie's one of the kindest, most generous, loving people that I've ever met in my entire life. And so there was never, like, truly, and there was never a moment where I was like, she's not going to be here throughout this for me. Like, I think we really complement each other. We had already been in business together for 3 years at that point, and so we had like years of trust, and like we had been through difficult things. Obviously, nothing as difficult as cancer, but like hard stuff. And so we had kind of flexed those trust founder muscles. But it was
That must have given you just like a sense of relief. I'm not
huge.
saying that people would tap out and be like, you know what, I'm done, but like you never know how a life altering situation like this is going to affect the other person, like whether it's romantically, business, family. So I think to like go through something like that and like still come out and like persevere and push through, like that's huge.
She was totally one of my rocks at that period of time because also my boyfriend at the time, now obviously ex, I'm now married to a guy that's way better. Discuss. So like I think it was like a month or something after I got diagnosed, I found out he was cheating on me. And that was like
Thank you. Right after my brain cancer.
the worst thing ever. Like I just remember feeling like great. Like my life is literally falling apart. Yeah, like imploding. Yeah, and obviously now I'm in a way better situation.
We
Much
love
better
her
guy.
husband. He's
Yeah,
great.
much better guy who I'm now married to.
Yeah.
But in those moments, I was like, oh my God, thank God I have Connie. Because
I don't have you, and that's like he sucks.
he sucked. Yeah, truly did that. Yeah.
So obviously working with friends has its ebbs and flows. And I know you guys didn't start as friends, but you formed a friendship as you guys started working. How has the dynamic changed from when you first started along the way versus now?
Yeah, I think when we first started, because we're complete opposite personality types. Laura mentioned that she asked my Myers-Briggs when we first met. I'm an ESFJ, she's an INTP, so already like very opposite in the way we communicate, and that showed up in the beginning days. So, for example, and then I'll give a tip to your audience of like what you can do when you meet a new co-founder. I'm someone who back then especially was very expressive with my emojis and my punctuation, like double exclamation marks for everything in text. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, like even when we were introduced, I was like, "Hi, Laura!" Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! It's so great to meet you! Exclamation mark! Smiley.
Almost every email that Connie ever sent out on Friday included TGIF, Korea exclamation marks at the start of it. That was the first thing.
Yeah. Oh, I say Happy Monday all the time.
Every single
Or like Happy Hump Day. Happy Tuesday. We're almost on Friday. Almost at Friday. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. And so when we first met, especially since we didn't know each other that well, let's just say that Laura sent me a message of like, I'll be there in 5 minutes, period. I would be like, oh no, what did I do? Because like you don't know them very well. And then on her end, probably when she got all these exclamation marks, she's like, whoa, this is a lot. And so we had to learn how we communicated. And something that really helped is something called a user guide. Have you heard of this before? So like, you know, when you get a new piece of technology, like a Dyson, like Airwrap or something, you get a little piece of paper, it tells you how to use it and how like not to blow it up and all that. So same thing with a user guide for a person. It's like the same concept. So you write a multi-page document that tells someone how you like to give and receive feedback, how you like to communicate, your like optimal energy, like are you a morning person? Are you a night person? Your Myers-Briggs, all this good stuff. Your habits, routines, your like hobbies, and then you actually exchange your user guides. So we each wrote one, and when we wrote our user guides and read each other's, it was really clear. Like, okay, just because Connie uses exclamation marks as an example doesn't mean she's always happy, or you know, vice versa. And that's actually something that we've stuck through and continue to do even with our team of 20 today. So every new hire that joins Three Ships writes their own user guide, and then they also read everyone's user guides in the company. And because like if you think about it, if you're meeting a coworker for the first time, you have no context on them. So that really helped us. Another thing is also having time to, first on the topic of feedback, we do something which is just like monthly founder feedback. So every month we meet up and it's a non-negotiable, and we share like positive feedback from things that we've seen over the past month from the other co-founder. And then if there is anything that's on our minds, that's our opportunity to share it. I think that a lot of founder duos have breakups or really bad fights when there's resentment because you're holding on to something and you haven't spoken your truth or your version of it. So it's really great to have these open forums to share feedback and actually listen. Like you have to just listen to it, say thank you, and then like think about it as you move through the next couple of weeks. Just take it, don't fight it. And then another thing that we do is we make sure that we hang out as friends outside of the company too, which has been such a blessing. So we call it founder funsies. I don't know where that name came up from years ago, but it'll be like going to a Pilates class together, getting our nails done, and we just try to catch up as friends. Yeah, from work. And inevitably, work usually comes up as a conversation, but in a very different way where it's like, how are you feeling about things? Like thinking bigger picture, talking about each other's lives outside of work. So that's been great.
I feel like if you really know myself and Dom, you'll actually, I feel like everybody thinks that we're like sisters and then we're like the same and all that. But when you really know us, you'll realize that we are exact opposites.
We're like black and white.
Are you like the extrovert or the introvert?
Yeah.
I'm like the biggest extrovert on this planet. Like I love to go out. I love to like travel and like party and like I'm just such a social butterfly. Like we're very different, but for some reason I think professionally, even just like friendship wise, like it just works. And I have friends being like, I know the both of you, and they're like, I don't get it.
Well, like a piece of advice, and it probably sits well with you two, that we often say is a great co-founder duo is one where you have complete opposite or ideally complete opposite personality types and skill sets, but completely aligned values, because the values builds trust, especially when you may not know your co-founder really well in the beginning. So highly recommend that, because you don't want to work with someone who's exactly like you. Otherwise, you're both going to do the same part of the business.
Over the past year and a half, how we've basically learned how to split it. Like I feel like last year we were sort of finding our footing, and this year we've really realized that I thrive more on like the brand side, so like getting on those brand calls and like organizing sort of the back end of things, whereas Dom thrives at the events. Like Dom can talk to anybody there.
Yeah, like there's 80 girls and like
important.
I can talk about the brand and talk about the sponsors and thing, and Elise is like in the corner, like I'm like, let me just go pack these bags. So introvert, but I can like even the Miami events, I was like talking to anyone and I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like Elise, like you stay over there. I just like that. Like I think my people skills are very strong, and just like matching other people's energies and talking to just anyone that's on site. One thing I wanted to dive into is working and being in such a saturated space. Skincare, you have celebrity brands that are popping up left, right, and center, and they have money and capital to just like boost the whole thing and bring it to wherever they want to see. How has that been A, motivating, and B, maybe a little bit discouraging at times when there's so many brands and they claim they're clean, they claim they're natural, and you guys know that they're not? What has that been like?
I mean, brands claiming that they're clean and they're not actually or natural, it feels like a personal attack in some ways. I think that that's probably one of the most discouraging things, because ultimately there's not much that we can really do about that right now. And there has to be a legal standard that's set. Like, you're not going to win this through just like trying to convince them to set their own standard.
Like an FDA, like, is there something that they can do to be like stamp of approval? Like, yes, you're clean, or yes, you're natural, or like they just claim?
They just claim it.
Like clean at Sephora.
They can make their own definition. Like they could change it so that clean at Sephora meant that you didn't use just one ingredient, like just parabens.
Well, their original one was like avoiding, and then they changed it to clean and planet positive, or like Whole Foods has their own standards. But that's also why we partner with different orgs like EWG and like EWG, as you probably know, like they evaluate if a product is actually natural or clean or not. And they have a scale, so like that really helps.
Yeah, but that part can be really discouraging. The celebrity brands and like big brands like L'Oreal and like Shiseido, honestly, that doesn't really discourage us, I don't think, because those brands, their strengths are so different from our strengths. And we really focus more on what we can control, where are we strong, and where can we stand out versus those brands. What's our unique competitive angle? And a big part of that is our transparency, like Connie was talking about, and the authenticity, the fact that we can have these direct conversations with our customers and have them really believe what we're saying, not because we're like a celebrity that appeared in movies, but because this is something that we're so deeply passionate about. And really lean into that relatability, I think, is huge. Like L'Oreal's not going to put their brand marketing manager in front of a camera and be like, "Oh, this is how we came up with our vitamin
No,
C."
like
It's not.
Always
they're way
say
past that.
They're way
I
past it.
I always say that when I work like for different clients. I always say your brand can thrive regardless,
Yeah.
but your brand can build a community and build this cult-like following, and your DMs can explode and you can have all this feedback and people can feel like a real connection to you if your face is on the page. And if there's a face behind a brand, and I always say, huge difference. If you're uncomfortable in the front of the camera, you have to learn to be comfortable
Like
because
when
it's
I've
very
won 3
important.
ships, I see you guys. Like you
Yeah.
can actually see like, no, like these
Yeah.
are the 2 girls that like ride or die day
Yeah,
day out.
totally.
Truly believe
And like
Yep.
we started the brand because we were consumers.
Yeah.
Like it's not like we had a bunch of funding or connections. Like I think that's why there's more trust there too, because people are like, oh, I can kind of see myself in them. And that's the goal. We're showing ourselves.
And over the 5 years that Three Ships has been launched, like we've seen so many celebrity brands come and go, like so many of them.
percent. There's like the trend of like it being super popular in the era with someone and then they just like die
3 years
off.
later, they're all gone. And so we're really not that threatened by that anymore because we're like, they're not building something of true value that's going to endure long term. They're not connecting with their audience in that same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being like 2 female entrepreneurs in the space, like we've obviously asked this question to other people that have been on the podcast, but what would you say individually have been your biggest struggles or getting people to take you seriously? And like believing in what you guys are doing and like seeing the longevity of the brand and getting people to like ride it out with you guys.
I can go first on this one. Biggest struggle, honestly, has been convincing, like owning your power, I think. And maybe that sounds too much like a woo woo way to say it, but a big challenge that we've had that has become even worse, I think, as we've grown, has been getting our teams to take us really seriously.
It's a good one.
And like to like really treat us like they're bosses. Like we're the leaders of this company. It feels like they're making more demands to us than they would like if I was a 50-year-old white man. Like, would you be asking me for this right now or telling me this? Like, I don't think you would. And that's something that has started to be more and more obvious as we've gotten bigger. Is I'm just like, if I was older, if I was a man, you would not be asking me this right now. You wouldn't be making these demands. You wouldn't be thinking that that's an okay thing for you to say to me as your boss.
What can, like, to anyone experiencing that, whether it's professional or whatever aspect in their life, like, how are you guys as co-founders, like, trying to overcome that and, like, set a boundary of, like, yes, we are friends and we get along, but, like, you end of the day, you work for me and this is my brand. Like, what is something that you can say or, like, how do you have tough conversations?
I think having tough conversations and like not sugarcoating thing. And that's something that we've struggled with over the years and we've had to learn to get a lot better at. Like looking back when we were 25, we were horrible at having the tough conversations, even with each other. Like things would just snowball and get out of control. You wouldn't actually speak what you were saying. And we've learned that that's not the right way to manage things. So we set a really high standard for our team and we uphold that standard. We expect people to act a certain way. And when they aren't, we take them aside and we correct that behavior really quickly.
Well, I think there's such a, like, I don't know, mistake with this generation of feeling like feedback is like very negative and it's like a personal attack.
Feedback is truly a gift.
Such a gift.
Because if you don't get it, you literally don't know what to do next. And something that Laura and I really believe in is radical candor, which if you haven't read the book, it's also a really good book. But it's all about giving direct feedback, but compassionately. And where I think a lot of people, myself included in the past, fell is in this quadrant in the book. Again, it refers to it called ruinous empathy, which is where you really want people to like you and you really want to just like make them feel good. And so you kind of skirt around the feedback because you just feel like so empathetic for them. But the real compassionate thing to do is to actually give them the feedback because then you actually know how to improve. And let's just say you skirted around it. In 6 months, you probably will end up firing them anyway, or they're not going to advance in their careers. And so you're doing them a disservice. So we've learned that radical candor really is the right way. And we train all of our managers to really think about this mindset. Another thing is, Our team is all bonus based off of us hitting our company goals as well as our own individual objectives. And this is a newer thing that we started implementing. So now that the whole team has some skin in the game with us hitting our revenue target, like you better believe that they're like, okay, let's work.
Like if we win, we all win.
Exactly. And we have a thermometer up at our office where you can see like exactly what % we are to target. And so that really helps too, because sometimes you don't want to give people hard feedback, but in a positive way, you can be like, look, like if we just roll up our sleeves a little here, we're all going to get bonus. And that's really incentivizing. So sometimes you think about like feedback in a bad way, but it can also be really positive.
Yeah.
Men, when they're raising money, what I've seen in the past is the bar that they have to cross is so much lower than for women. Like
The bridge is like this.
Yeah.
It's like pre-revenue.
It's like for men, they're typically valued based off of the future growth potential and like the promise of the company and what's to come and projections. Women are almost always assessed for the value of their business off of what they've already accomplished. And this is such a trend that we've seen, and it can be so difficult because especially when you're trying to raise those first couple of rounds, like a lot of it is off of future growth potential. Like you haven't usually achieved very much. And the number of male founders I've seen that have been funded pre-revenue, I don't know a single woman who's ever been funded pre-revenue within the consumer space. And so that can feel very demoralizing that you have to already have accomplished all these things and checked all the boxes before anyone takes you seriously.
Something that I was like just thinking as we were talking, obviously, like as a brand, you have like your goals and things that you want to achieve. Like, I guess putting it out there as like a manifestation, like what are things that you want to achieve for the brand? Like goals that maybe might seem unattainable, but like if you just speak them into existence, like what is something 5 years, 10 years down the line?
Definitely getting into Sephora. Yeah, and it's going to happen. It's on all of our vision boards. Everyone, tell your friends, tell Sephora. Yeah. I mean, your mom, what was your mom's name again? Patty? Patty said she's surprised we're not there. Patty, you go tell Sephora.
Mine would be winning an Allure Best of Beauty award for one of our products. That's such a big validator within the space. And we've won so many awards at this outlet for different products for innovation. But Allure is like would be the jewel in the crown that we just haven't been able to achieve yet. Our best sellers are Dewdrops Hyaluronic Acid Serum. That's by far number one. Close second would be our Skin Hero Bioretinol Serum. We're really known for our serums and creams.
Well, I know what yours is gonna be.
Okay, well, you go first.
Okay, well, I think expanding beyond events. Like obviously we love to do our events and we host really good events, but when it comes to like profit margins and time capabilities and all of these things, events is really capped. So I know that there's like a vision for something else, and we have like a couple calls tomorrow with like mentor type people to discuss what that might be. But I feel like by like January 2026, like we're leading in that direction.
Honestly, manifesting is to turn into like just a really strong women network into like whatever. I know there's like like Join Monday Girl, and they're more on like the professional side. Something that's like super like I'm super passionate about is wellness, like working out and everything that falls under. Like I've like thought about it for the longest time. I'm like, I want to be an instructor. I love fitness. It's been something that's been part of my life for like 10 years now. But just combining like networking and wellness into one. Like I wanted to say thank you so much for spending your Tuesday night with us. I know like in everyone's busy schedule and finding a time and like finally sitting down, and we appreciate it so much, from like your insights, founder insights, like dealing with a co-founder, why you guys started the brand, your journey. I just wanted to say thank you from the both of us. Like
of course.
It means
Such
a
a great
lot.
And I think we gave a discount code to your audience in her prime.
It'll be linked in like everything that'll go out. And I wish you both so much like good energy next week in New York for what is it,
Editor facial events. Yeah.
How long has that been in the making?
Oh, it's been maybe 4 months that I've been working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
how many editors?
20.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's 10 hours each day back to back.
And then where can everyone find you guys?
Yeah. So on social, you can find us at 3ships Beauty, or you can find us online at 3shipsbeauty.com. You can also find us at all the Whole Foods in North America. We're at Holt Renfrew, the Detox Market, well.ca.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Thanks for having us.